Gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Today is a special day in the country Liberia. That's the Weah Appreciation Day, or some say Weah Thank You. This is the day set aside by the CDC to appreciate the president for all the good things he has done over the past 5+ years. So we're going to be doing a post-rally analysis and a panel discussion on what went down today in Monrovia. So before I introduce my panelists tonight, we're going to play at least 3 minutes of the president's speech at the Weah Appreciation Day. Take a listen.
Today, as we gather to commemorate the achievement of my Weah as president of our great nation, I stand before you with a deep sense of gratitude and humility. Your presence here today is a testament to the collective vision we share for a greater and more prosperous Liberia. I want to express my heartfelt appreciation for the trust and mandate you bestowed upon me 6 years ago. It is a responsibility I've carried with me almost for seriousness and dedication. When my team and I assumed office in 2018, we were well aware of the enormous challenges that lay before us. Our economy was in their need of revitalization. Our roads infrastructure was in despair. And our schools, hospitals, and market buildings were neglected. It was our duty to address these pressing issues and ensure a better future for all Liberians. In our relentless pursuit of progress over
Welcome back to Focus on Liberia. This is between the headlines. We are the post We are Appreciation Day panel discussion and analysis. With me, we have Mr. Jimmy Isbon, who is joining us from the nation's capital. Jimmy is a co-host on our program On Point. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invitation, I really appreciate being here to bring to the Liberian public and listeners some updates about what's going on in Liberia.
Thank you, Jimmy. Let me also welcome Mr. J. Victor Namwe, the staunch member of the UPP who is now leaning CPP. His both feet are not in CPP yet. He's still leaning. So, Mr. Namwe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. It's an honor to be here.
Right. I remember you don't test the depth of water with 2 feet. You use one first. So he's leaning. Let me also welcome Ansu Opa Dualu. He is probably leaning Boakai. He is a guest panelist on Point. That's our Sunday debate show. Dualu, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Ja. It's a tremendous pleasure to be back here. You know, I love this location, organized properly. But and to the Liberian people, you're the Congo, you're the talk about the country. Share the show and let's talk about Liberia.
Definitely come. Let's talk about the show. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. Please do us your favor. We are in Facebook jail, so many people don't get our notification. So please help us share the show and let people benefit. Let me start with Mr. Ismail in the nation's capital. I mean, he's always around power. Jimmy, today was a Weah Appreciation Day, or to tell Weah thank you. As far back as your recollection, first let me ask you, why was this day necessary for the organizers?
Well, Ja, is pretty evident. Even though the campaign season hasn't officially begun, this is all part of campaigning, getting, rallying his base, getting people excited, bringing people back on board. It's all a part of the upcoming October 10 elections. That's the whole motive here. Today, they shut down Monrovia. Somebody told me that they took 3 hours to get from Painesville Junction there to Monrovia. So not much was done today. That was the central action today on all Monrovia. It was a pretty good turnout. At least they filled their compound. Maybe 3,000 to 5,000, I'd estimate. And was it necessary? Well, yeah. If you're going to campaign, you have to campaign on your laurels. Right now, President Weah is no longer able to say what he will do. He has to show what he has done, what he has provided. And he made mention of a few things he has done. He talked about infrastructure. He talked about schools. He talked about hospitals. So he's going to be campaigning on the tails of all these accomplishments. And he's trying to bring his base to recognize that. I'm a little bit surprised, but then I'm not, because people are excited, and then in one corner, and then you look right next door, the person doesn't have anything to eat. So it never fails to surprise me. But notwithstanding, this election is going to be interesting.
Thank you, Mr. Namwe. As far back as your recollection go, has this happened before, where merely partisans of the party, have an appreciation day for the president for all the good things he or she has done?
Well, if my memory serves me right, I think this is the equivalent of resolutions, those I remember very well. But usually these are events that happen after the elections. Right after the elections, you go back to thank the people. I don't really know if there is a thank you rally before, on the eve of elections. But I tell you this, I think this president is rattled. I think he's getting nervous. I think he knows that the cards are not reading in his favor. Um, he just came from Bassa, where there was an endorsement rally, and he comes to Monrovia and he's locking the city down on a Monday, on a Monday, the first day of the week. I mean, he's impatient. He's impatient to engage in this crowd politics and to project, I guess, strength, influence, momentum, whatever it is. But I also see this as an attempt to muzzle those who have not endorsed this president in submission, because apparently this repeat endorsement, where individuals are re-endorsing him, is not working well. And so now he's going to put on a display to watch and see who's not going to show up. And then he's going to come after you and shake you down. But again, also, our people are visual, They look on stage and they see, the representative sitting on stage who has been quiet and say, oh, but this president supported the president. I might as well get on board. So in short, I think he's scrambling, and I think he feels he's in trouble. He's violating, of course, the elections law. I wish the elections commission would, for once, stiffen their back and say something about this, whether it is the opposition or the ruling party. The laws are the laws. The campaign season has not started yet, and this president is all over the place. He's campaigning. That's what he's doing.
But all the candidates all the aspirants are all over the place, Mr.
Well, yeah, I hear that, and this is why, I'm saying, whether it is opposition or the ruling party, the law is the law. You have to wait for the campaign season to start.
Mr. Dwalu, I've been in your church, and thank you. We first met in a church. I have seen Pastor Appreciation Day. I've not seen President Appreciation Day. But, I mean, things are changing. We never had social media. But what's your reading? I mean, Mr. Nambo is surprising me, say, hey, this is his rattle, and he's using this to go after those who will not come. What's your reading of the day?
I agree with Mr. Nangbe 100%. I just got back, this. I spent the last 3 months in the country. I think I've been back now for about 2 weeks. First of all, Monrovia was not shut down today by CDC administration. About 80% of the city is currently shut down. Their production has been going on for the last maybe 3 years, and everything has stopped in the city. The entire ERW junction is shut down. All the way to think of it is shut down. Half of Rela is shut down. Everywhere is shut down. They're attempting to do roads in the country. There are no cars going anywhere. So when you're going towards the CDC party headquarters, there's another thing Mr. Nangwe said, which is entirely true. Everybody who wants to be a part of CDC was required to bring certain amount of people, especially if you were running as a representative, a senator, or any kind of political position in CDC. So people were literally forced to come to the party headquarters. This is not a measure of strength. Okay, what they've done is just to show repeated endorsement that they've been doing over and over. President Weah, let's ask ourselves this question. Since President Weah came to power, has he increased CDC numbers or has it decreased over the last 6 years? These are basic questions we can answer. So the CDC party headquarters, at the maximum, maybe it can take 3,000 people. At the maximum. This is not show of force. There is no employment in the city. Every single young man in the country, I tell people all the time, those of us who've been fortunate to leave Liberia, especially live in a Western location, we should kiss the ground every single time we walk around because we are the privileged few. Go to the country and see true destitution. Serious dire circumstances in the country right now as it stands. So I don't think it's a show of force. I think Mr. President Weah is rattled. Mr. Nangwe is entirely right. And he believes if he showed this crowd, look, if CDC decides not to pay any money and insist and just ask people to come, you cannot put more than 1,000 people into that compound. People were forced to all be bossed there. And I'll give it back to you guys.
But is this new, Jimmy, for especially during election year for candidates and aspirants to do this so as to rally the crowd.
The only elections I remember are Tubman's mock. I call them mock elections because there was nobody else
Well,
running against him. So they pretty much did whatever they wanted to do. Now Tolbert didn't. His elections were not very visible either. I guess he took over. I think he only had one when he first got there.
when he
So
completed
I don't see this. I mean, but it's a thank you rally. You know, they disguise it as a thank you rally, and that's what the incumbent can do. You know, um, is it working? I think that's the big question: is does this help? You know, I can tell you, some people vote when they see, herd mentality. They see a lot of people voting and going in one direction, and they tend to want to be with the winner. I've seen a lot of. I'm not going to cast my vote where it's not going to count. So by showing force, by showing a lot of support, some people who may be sitting on the fence may be convinced that President Weah is going to win again, and so they'll bandwagon with everybody else. I haven't seen this. This isn't a lot, but the incumbent always does what they want to do, as we've seen all around the African continent.
someone said it should be the other way around. President Weah should be thanking the people for giving them the opportunity. But
I,
I agree.
Victor,
absolutely.
Victor, how do these things normally come about? I mean, being around politics, is it the president coming and say, "Hey guys, come do this for me," or some grievance-seeking people say, "Let's make the president happy so we can keep our job"? How does it really normally occur?
Yeah, it could come from either way. I don't know the thought process in the CDC, but it could very well be the president himself telling his guys, "Look, people, this is not working. We need to step up the pace." Or his advisors could come to him. I see McGill is slowly creeping back in the fold. He was on the stage today. I saw Kairos Gray. So his handlers could be telling him, Mr. President, I think we're falling asleep at the reins, and let's step this thing up. Either way, I maintain. I think the CDC and company right now they're nervous, and they see the tides are turning against them. Dualu just said that. I mean, how many people can you fit in the CDC headquarters, relative to, the voting populace? That's less than 1% of the voting populace, but they cram people in there, some of them kids who might not even be of voting age, and they keep, taking a wide shot of the place and giving the impression, that, the whole country is in that one little fence, but they need to really get out of that fence and get out there and actually do the real campaigning as opposed to this gathering people in one place. This crowd politics, that's not equivalent to votes. It is not. And so I see, the CPP, like I said here, they are out there every day working hard. I think that's where it's at. You go out there and get the votes, convince the people that you are electable, but the president called the people to appreciate him. They should tell him what he has done for them, for which they're appreciating him. But he stands over there and he's rattling out these things. I thought he was saying these are the things we want to do. I didn't even know this is what he said he has done. Where are the roads he's talking about? I come from the southeast, for crying out loud. The road is cut, Dennis. You going, the road is cut going up north. Where are the roads? Are you talking about from Dubo Road Junction to the cemetery, or what? Are those the roads he's talking about? You're talking about paying for student. Why? Yeah, of course. You pay for the student entrance or whatever it is. Where are the teachers who are supposed to teach the children? That's not enough. So what he's doing, talking education, is he's granting access, letting more people go to school. But where is the quality? Where's the equipment? Who are teaching these children? The teachers are complaining they're not getting paid. They don't have equipment to work with. You know, you go to the University of Liberia, the place is leaking. You know, there's water all over the place. And he's talking about investing in education where? So, you know, that's an argument we're ready to make. That's why he can't wait for the campaign season to start. He's jumping ahead because, you know, he wants to have a quick start, but we'll catch up.
Mr. Dualo, you came from the country newly. I mean, there's nothing wrong. People coming together and say we appreciate you. Okay, someone if someone did something good for you, you appreciate no matter how small, right? So in the minds and hearts of the sedition, they say, Mr. President, thank you, right? So thank you for what you have done. Thank you for the roads. Thank you for housing. Thank you for Weah. Thank you for definitely he built housing units. Definitely he built roads. He built new hospitals. So if they come to say thank you, what's wrong with that? Mr. Dualo.
Ja, let me say something to you. There is Mr. President believes that he's a celebrity. What he does not understand, he's a president of a country. He's used to this fanfare. You know, President Weah's entire issue is he wants to occupy the office and the fanfare that comes with it, not the responsibilities that come with the office. Look, I listen to Brother Nangwe. Samuel Twe, I did a podcast where Samuel Twe told 27 lies on ALBC, and I did a rebuttal to those 27 lies. And then one of the things he did say in that lie was the president has paved 27 kilometers of road over the last 6 years. And I did a basic calculation across the country. And there are one of the stuff was actually done by Stanford University, the Ministry of Transport with USAID, and there was another people called Logistics Cluster. They do a Liberia has about 700 and I think 43 kilometers of road paved throughout the country. Now, that paved, I'm going to put that in quotation because they're not adequately paved. Samuel Twe said in 6 years, there is no country, I mean, there is no president in Liberia's history that have paved more miles of road than President Weah has done. All the other presidents combined, he said they paved 627 kilometers of road. Yeah. Where are the roads? The Downtown Community Road is barely 3 miles of road. The road going to Jamaica Resort is less than quarter of a mile of road. To Twe's house, to Buffett Chambers' house, to Samuel Twe's house. So the entire total calculation of road, I transversed the entire country. I spent 3 months in the country going to see. You talk about wire fee payment. You talk about education. In fact, there is absolutely no quality in these schools across the country. Don't take my word for it. Go to Sesto. I went to Sesto. Go to Greenville. Go to Harper. Go to this location and see the digression of the entire society. President Weah is entirely disengaged from what is happening to the country. There is no quality in the schools. In fact, the most recent number published by the United Nations, the enrollment rate in Liberia has actually decreased for females in the country. Go to PCS Community School, Reading, Painesville by Joba. You have literally third grade and fourth grade in the same classroom. They're training themselves back to back. If you come late, I visited Wintown Public School. YFE is only for 9th grade and 12th grade. And President Weah is not paying YFE. YFE is being paid for by the government of Liberia in combination with our international partners to get some fees paid. But it's only for 9th grade and 12th grade at one time. Go see the quality. Most of these kids, they pay so much fees. It's more than what they were paying when the school was originally free under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So the school system in the country are actually digressing. See the quality of students being put out by LU, by our public schools. People don't want to say this. You know, somebody will come by and say, oh, my cousin graduated from LU and he made it to Harvard. Yes, it's extremely possible. There is 5% of any country's population that will excel no matter what. We are talking about 95%, the bulk of our population. We are filling them massively, especially under President Weah. I'll give it to you, brother.
Jimmy, again, the same question. Let's come to the things that President Weah, for which has done, for which his party is appreciating him. President Weah himself, when he was in Basel, and even repeated today, he said he has built more hospitals, roads, and housing than any other Liberian president.
Yeah. We need some fact checkers to see if that is actually true. He points to these accomplishments, but where how much mileage, just like Dwalu was alluding to. These are that's a very very short spans. I I don't know if he can claim that. We will need somebody on the ground to check it. But my here's my thing though. As much as Liberia tends to look toward the leadership, but the quality of our education, the things that people do every day, their work ethic in the ministries, that is a reflection of us, not Weah. These things have been going on. We have really compromised our morals and values to a large degree. And if besides roads and infrastructure that I see, when are we going to rebuild the moral values of our people? Because the teacher quality, you can be a poor school, but you can have a good teacher. But instead, the teachers are getting bribed. Okay, in fact, they solicit bribe. I know of concrete examples of people coming to me saying, my teacher said I have to give them this because I didn't do this and this. It's constant. So a lot of the problems we're having has to do with our own value. Now, this is why I say I blame the leadership, not for not building hospitals, but not inspiring Liberian people toward a vision, toward self-value, toward a righteousness that will pull them up by the bootstrap. But instead, we exploit the situation. I think that's the real crime right there.
Dualu, I'll come back to you before Victor. So what should we look at then if someone who supports the CDC will say you are minimizing what the president has accomplished? What then should we be grading the president on? What should the president do before you say he's done well?
Yeah, it's not about minimizing. Look, the president had an obligation, and this obligation was to elevate the standard of living in the society for a substantial amount of the population. Let me give you the president's own word. In fact, Samuel Twe graded this entire government at 2.7% success rate. 2.7% or 100%. President Weah graded Ellen Johnson Sirleaf by 80%. Let me tell you what he did. The president told us that they would take 1 million Liberians out of poverty in the span of 6 years. That they only took 27,000 people out of poverty. Let's look at those poverty numbers in the country. Literally, every multinational corporation that came to Liberia, those corporations have left. We have no direct investment into the country. Most of the money, our foreign direct investment, have actually decreased. It's strong out of the country. Job creation is near zero. Everything is breaking down. 40% of the clinics that were being funded under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf were being defunded under the Weah administration. You building hospital in the middle of Bapolu County. Great deal. We can build hospitals if we want. It's not about building hospital. Look, I was born in JFK. I got pictures from JFK. It's in the late 70s. I was a baby. And you see JFK. Go see the contrast of what's happening in the middle of town. Go see the Telaway Hospital. Go see the Jaffin Esdo Hospital. In fact, they harvested equipment out of the Jaffin Esdo Hospital to bring to the 14 Military Hospital. You call this progress? What must the president do? It's simple. Set a standard that improves the standard of living in our society. Dezogorize the country. Increase the life expectancy in the country. Improve the maternal mortality rate of our society. Increase the infant mortality rate of our society. Increase the level of education up our illiteracy rate in the country. There's a lot of things the president has not done. Every single promise he's made, he built a soccer field called Invisible Park, where he goes and practices every day. You call this development? People from one station to a higher station. He's failed at that completely. That's what he's failed at. I'll give it to you.
Victor, what should success look like that will warrant the president to be appreciated like the citizens did today?
I mean, success looks like what we're not having right now. But uh, yeah, what about we go back to what the president promised? At least we can hold him to that. Where's the Bali Island? Somebody mentioned that in the chat. Where is that? Mhm. What about Liberians not being spectators in their own economy? Where is that? Hmm? Now, Dualu already indicated, I know Mr. Eastman talked about fact checking the president, but, Dualu has already done some of that. But I am sure that people will know and agree that the president has not built more houses than any president. What about the various estates? I mean, let's just take it from there. Stephen Toro Estate, Cabral Estate, New Georgia Estate. Did the president build buildings equal to those estates? I don't think so. I don't think so. And how many hospitals has this president built? What? 14 hospital? What other hospital?
But
So I think our people are not stupid. They're not gullible like that. Yeah. So success will be this president improving the economy, taking so many people out of poverty. I mean, Dualu talked about the Zogos in the street. Everybody's talking about our young, unfortunate brothers and sisters in the streets. I go to Monrovia twice a year. I understand what he's talking about. There's a lot of suffering, and that doesn't look to me like success. This is a president who is a populist. He's very, very likable. He's a celebrity. Most leaders use the right on that to drive home very difficult choices, but that will, in the long run, improve the well-being of the citizenry. This president he's not done that. He just has a few people around him who are living it up. They get up from here, they spend 48 days in Qatar or whatever it is to watch the World Cup. His director of commission of maritime is posting photos of himself, at the football field in London. Just a few of them are having fun. That doesn't look to me like success.
John, Dennis, if I may come in, I love that question because we focus on the superficial things, and not look at what the real tangible examples of success are. If you want to know if you're successful, the first thing we're going to look at what can we quantify the effect on businesses? Have businesses improved in the country? Do we see more businesses? Do we see less? Do we see businesses like Dwalo was saying? Do we see businesses flying? Do we see new businesses being created? If we don't, that means we're not successful in that category. How about tourism? Do we see more people coming to the country? Do we see more because tourism is a genuine source of income for many small nations like ours? How about a community activity? Do we see communities building up themselves and carrying on things? Do we see any of that, any of these business shifts in our community? The answer will be no. In fact, it's getting worse. Another thing we'll say, look at the legislation. Have we seen positive legislation that will increase commerce and activity and improve the livelihood? Those are the tangible changes. Somebody has told the president, well, you build this house or you build this building, that shows that you've done something. No. If you really want to impact the people, you have to do the things that will directly impact their lives. Infrastructure, we need it. But if we don't have businesses and cars and building up and bringing more and more commerce to the people, then we haven't done these things. So it's a great question, Dennis. That's what we really should be looking at.
And to tag on to Mr. Eastman, I woke up.
What I want you to tag on, but is there anything that the president has done that you can say, oh yes, thank you, or nothing at all?
I will give it to you. I don't think there are that many. There are opposition leaders languishing in jail. I will give that to this president. I think he has allowed also the Henry Costas of the world to freely express themselves, how they feel about him. I have to give him that. But you know, if you're gonna take in the criticism, then you should be able to do something about it. Some of the things that the guys are railing against, they exist in the conditions that they are railing against. So if you want us to point to something that this person has done, I will give him that. You know, what else can I give him? I can't. I don't know. I woke up this morning, Sam Jackson. You know, we're in the same chat room, the PAL chat room, Progressive Alliance Liberia, and he got off. You know, he's talking.
Yeah, still exist.
Stop it, Dennis.
Come on, I'm being honest.
Okay, PAL went from PAL to PPP and then to UPP.
I saw that. I
but
saw
we're
that.
still here. Yeah,
That.
we're still here. All right, Dennis. So he's talking about, you know, the pimping boys, you know, increasing. That is, you know, a major contribution of this president. You know, how many people are driving pimping now? You know, but why are pimping becoming popular? Because the roads are impossible. You can't go inside Town. You can't go inside Town. You can't go inside any of these because the roads are breaking down. Only the motorbikes can go there. You know, so I'll be hard pressed beyond what I just indicated to give this president anything. I mean, and I'm being very very honest here. That's how much I can give him. I don't know what my colleagues will think.
Dualo, is this? I don't know which one happened first, right? Because we come from a collective society where, you know, we normally say, you know, this is what the government has done. How has it come to the president? Because certain things happen to say, oh, you can blame the president for that. But then when it comes the other way, we want to give the president or the president wants to take credit. So how have we come to this point where everything is the president, good or bad? If it is good, the president wants the credit. If it is bad, people put the blame on the president.
Yeah, John, I want to address that question you asked previously before I address this one. And and Tyler, thank you so much for what you just said. The president does not grant freedom of speech; it's granted by the Constitution. Now, I want to say this: is there anything that the president has done that is tangibly substantial in the country that's transforming the people's lives? Let's address the crucial developmental issues that's going to impact the lives of our people. Let's look at the road connectivity throughout the country. Is this substantial enough where it have improved the lives of the people? The answer to that is no. Okay, the little roads that were built on President Weah, they were so substandard. They've broken down. Go on the Dole Community Road. It's hot pothole everywhere. So on the road issue, he failed on that issue. Let's look at the healthcare issue. 40% of the clinics in the Republic of Liberia that were built previously on the previous administration were being defunded. In fact, are being defunded over the last 6 years on President Weah. Yes, the hospital in Bapudu Kanto is built, but it's not operational. The 14 military hospital is barely functional. JFK has literally closed down. Redemption Hospital is being rebuilt because it's entirely collapsed. So can we say that the healthcare issue has improved? But let's quantify it this way. When Ellen Johnson Sirleaf came to power, our mortality rate in the country was around 9.7 per year. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf worked over the next 12 years to reduce it to 8.2 per year for every 1,000 person in the country. This is Liberian mortality rate. Anybody can look this up on Google. You can check it out. When President Weah came to power, over the last 6 years, our mortality rate has risen to 8.7 as it stands right now. So we are dying more on President Weah than we did previously. In fact, on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, we improve healthcare in the country. The answer to that is also no. But let's look at school enrollment rate. Everybody championed this wire payment. Wire fee is only being paid in 9th grade and 12th grade. Kindergarten through 12th grade. What happened to kindergarten through 12th grade? Look, the primary education of our country is failing. Look, I'm telling you, go outside of Monrovia. Go anywhere in Monrovia and go see for yourself. So we fail on healthcare. We fail on girls' enrollment rate. We fail on mortality rate. We fail on any kind of substantial infrastructure. We fail on leadership. Where is he successful at? The only thing President Weah is successful at is promoting himself and his cohorts. That's it.
You know, yeah, Dave. I'm sorry for interrupting you, Dwello, but one of our ardent followers, Dr. Sam Wallow, he's asking, can we give any? Well, we can mention accomplishments of George Weah. Let's say in health, the construction of the 14 military hospital, and he built 8 hospitals in southeast Liberia, including Babalu and the Redemption hospitals. He increased doctors' monthly salaries from 700 to 2,000. Okay, he added about 2,000 health workers to the payroll after donor help dried up. Remember, they had to absorb all those helpers when donor help dried up. He provided specialist. I mean, I can go in different area. I can go in education. The free public college education benefits for 10,000 Liberians every year. The wax fees, we've been talking about it. We can go to the rice and fuel stability. Well, let's admit, we thought inflation would have overrun us, but they were able to keep the price of rice down to some extent to $16. They spent over 14 million, to support COVID, to get rid of. I mean, there are things the president has done, Sam Wallow, but what I look at is has that improved our livelihood? I mean, we can go down the list. I can give you 100 more things that this president has done. The normalization of the budget and all of that sort of thing, but in the end, we have to improve the livelihood of our people. I just wanted to interject that because Sam was asking.
What's about dual citizenship? This was a big deal, right?
Yeah, that's another one.
Dwello, you don't want to still give it to him?
No, I mean, listen, I'm saying tangibly substantial. These quick fixes to some of these problems. Look, you can list. Let's address for instance, you say it increased the doctor salary from $700 to $2,000. If you look at the doctor salary in Liberia, incrementally they were increasing. Civil servant pay still they increase. Actually, making those payments are two different things. Almost everything the president has done that's supposed to be positive for the country is done in a way to promote himself and not to strengthen the country. So most of them are temporary. So how can I give you something that is temporary for a country that's going to be here for a long time? Look at the YFE. How has he institutionalized the YFE to fund them? You say, oh, he made college education free. Do you realize that most LU students right now, to even go to the university, there are huge complications because the policy decision being made by President Weah to make the college tuition free was not substantially thought out. How are you going to fund this? So there are problems there. Yeah, he said, oh yeah, he did this, he did that. Yeah, he may have done some positive things, but look at the things that he said he was going to do to substantially improve the standard of living in the country. That's where I'm concerned about. It's not about talking about building invisible park. I'll give him that. It's a good park that he built. But is this park improving the quality of living economically for the majority of our people? I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to allow you guys to answer that. Let's go look at the LU graduation when you have poor quality. Let's look at other places across the country. Look at the caliber of people that he put into technical positions. Okay, are they delivering to the Liberian people? Then I have to make the disclaimer because this is a Liberian show. My intent is not to occupy a government position. I mean, I'm talking because the Constitution requires me to talk for my country. It doesn't mean when you talk, and I'm listening and I love to engage the audience. I don't need to have a zing round in Liberia to talk for my country. My constitution right requires me to do that. We got to stop this. I'll give it back to you guys, man.
Thank you. Let me welcome Mr. Rushford Manaswa Collison, who is joining us from Texas. Mr. Collison, welcome. We are talking about Weah Appreciation Day, a post-analysis. Welcome, and how you feel about what went down in Monrovia today? Are you grateful to the president, just like the sedition?
Well, let me use the opportunity to say a big welcome to all the fellow panelists, and to you, Mr. Jah, for giving me the opportunity to be on your show. And I would like to say one thing that comes to mind when I heard about the Appreciation Day. And I'd like to rephrase this into the context of the days of the ancient Roman. If someone who read literature, when Julius Caesar came home after slaughtering Pompey, and then there was two guys in the street with the commoners, Flavius and Marellus, and they asked the question, what conquest bring he home? So I bring that back to our liberation scenario and ask ourselves the question is what really has Mr. Weah done that we should appreciate him for? I ask the question rhetorically because every basic infrastructure services in the country has been destroyed under the 5 years, so far 5 years, going to 6 years of the leadership. Healthcare is down. Education is down. Social services are down. Civil servants don't get paid. Drop out in school is at a astronomical level. Roads are deplorable. Darkness, insecurity. So for what reason are we appreciating him? So that's why I gave the kind of a literary satirical representation of Julius Caesar when they asked him the question. So let us ask the Liberian people the question. Let us ask ourselves, or ask President Weah, what really have you done for us to appreciate you? Is this a new cultural extravaganza again that billions of dollars should be spent on your lavish and uncomfortable lifestyle? We want to know, because for every time these events are called, people get to turn out, millions of dollars come out of the coffers. So what really? So I do not see this appreciation to be anything but rather just another mere theoretical or maybe theatrical display and waste of money. If we are to appreciate you, let us appreciate you after your legacy, after you have left power. Then we will say, Mr. Weah did this, he did that. But the being power, we should appreciate you. Generation yet unborn with Josh. And I do not want to be among one of those who will stand out and say, yes, let us appreciate Mr. Weah on this day. Because for me, I do not want posterity to judge me. So that's my take.
Mr. Collison, you said civil servants do not get paid. Is that a true statement?
Well, when I say they don't get paid, it's not intense, or maybe they don't get paid at all. But okay, the government must have been paid. The salaries have been reduced to what they call harmonization. I know what you guys who read economics. I don't know where that theory comes from. All right, so they don't go to work. It's not that they're getting paid at all, but okay, are they being paid on time? That is my point.
Good. Let me come to Jimmy. Jimmy, what should government do? You know, there's an analogy under when President Sully was in power and say, "Oh, you are not praising the president." So I said, you know, we're having a kind of fireside chat. I said, if I have a Class C license in America, it means I'm able to operate, you know, and drive. So why will you be clapping for me because I stopped at a stop sign? Or I started going when the light turns green. So what should a government do? And normally at my job, before you get that bonus, you have to go above and beyond. Are the things that we are talking about to appreciate or not to appreciate, are they the regular functions of a government? Or are the things the president's supposed to do? Or is the president going above and beyond? Because for us to really be able to appreciate you and have fanfare for a job you're getting paid for, you must do something a little more. Is that what we are saying?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. There are a couple of ways to look at it, though.
Okay.
To be fair to Weah, he came into power when there was a large vacuum of resources from the country. The peacekeeping troops had left. Multiple NGOs had left, and that pulled, I forgot the number, but we're talking about millions out of the country per year. Millions. Okay, so he had to absorb that And what would have happened had they not been very careful, we would have seen galloping inflation. The Liberian dollar would have turned to nothing because now there was a flight of foreign capital. There was a huge flight. But just to be able to withstand that and even just keep the country afloat, that is something I'm going to say, yeah, at least you did not let the country collapse. And I think it's a challenging thing to do. Okay. Now, there more can be done, but it has to be geared, it can't be superficial. Yeah, we see a lot of superficial things for politics, but we need substantial things that will move the needle. And that is what we want to see. Now, I agree with Carlson in that I think it's too soon to start showing appreciation. You see, our leaders work for us, okay? And that whole thing was organized by the CDC, by Chairman Mullen. No. We should be the ones to say, yes, it's time to appreciate our leader. I think it's a little too, I agree with him. I think at the end of his legacy, like how we compare to Tolbert these days and compare Dole, we'll say, yes, Weah was a really good leader. We'll look back and see it. But I think it's a bit early. Right now, he's supposed to be thanking us. Just what somebody said. Thank you for this time, and this is what I'm going to do next. This is what I'm about to do next for the next 6 years. This is what I'm about to do. I agree. I don't think right now we're supposed to show appreciation, but he's supposed to show appreciation for us giving him the chance and tell us what he would do in the next 6 years. That's how I think it should look.
Mr. Collison, if only CDC is doing it, what does that tell us? So if Mr. President is doing well, don't you think the entire country, or has this become so political that we don't see anything good in the other candidate? Because if the president is doing well, people appreciating should be more than his partisans, don't you think?
Well, doing well to reward you for doing your job that we pay you for. Now, everyone understands at this time of the year, it's nothing but campaign messaging they are sending out. Campaign messaging they are sending out. Everyone understands that. So, if the CDC as a party wants to show appreciation to the leader, well, they can also do this if the Liberian people reinforce their confidence in him for the second time. Then they can come out and say, well, we want to appreciate you. The Liberian people gave us the right for us to rule again. And thank you for your vision. But we are like 2 months close to election. Then you have an appreciation day to put people in the street in the form of a campaign, in a sense that, oh yeah, we appreciate him because he did well. So it's kind of an imbalance. An imbalance. And the CDC needs to stop being of disservice to the Liberian people. Stop. Because if you want us to appreciate you as a government, appreciate your Senate bearer, as a leader with vision, let's go to the drawing board. Let's go to the performance metrics. Let's go to all of the indicators that make a determination for good governance, leadership, economic viability, social services improve. Let's go to the drawing board, every aspect, and let us do a checklist. Then we'll come back and say, okay, based upon this checklist, okay, Mr. Weah, you score 90%, you score 80%. But we have not done nothing.
But who should do that checklist, Mr. Collison? You do it, right? Who should?
That's what we are doing right now. On this phone, we are giving us the privilege to. The other phone we have been speaking on. That's what we are doing. But the question we ask is that CDC, you are coming out to call a party to appreciate your leader. Please give us a blueprint. Give us a list. Okay, Mr. Weah, you did. Our president did this. Our president did that. And now be able to verify it and authenticate those deliverables. But nothing.
But Mr. Collins,
you have no cabinet reshuffle for all the.
Mr. Collins,
let me tell you. You have no cabinet reshuffle for all the last 5 years of your government. No cabinet reshuffle left of your government. Debt alone continue to accumulate. You cannot tell us how many students went to school. You cannot tell how many healthcare services were provided. We got 14 military hospitals. You got hospital in Bapolu. But our final minister got in a car accident that we spent millions of dollars to treat. We couldn't have it treated there. We flew into Turkey. Because we don't trust the health system in our own very country and many more other things. So what we want to probably do a performance evaluation of the government to say, well, we give you whatever percentage. I would believe that will be done after his legacy. But for right now, it's too early to celebrate, give an appreciation, because a lot of things happening right now. They need to work on it. Go ahead.
Mr. Carson, what I want to ask you, because a lot of us who in the diaspora, we have a way of looking at things the way things are here. Okay, we're geared, we're trained, we have been educated to look at things from a certain standard. Okay, because that is the standard we have to meet while we're here. So you're talking about in Liberia, show us your performance. In Liberia, a lot of people get degrees and papers and they don't know anything. It is the standard. What I'm saying, the bar is so low. It's just a matter. It's just enough to have a piece of paper in your hand, whether or not you knew anything that you've learned for the past 4 years or the past 12 years. So the standard is different. So while you're saying all this, how does that compare to Liberia, where we have a different set of standards?
That's how it's compared, Mr. Eastman. Now, our president, our staff for his Oval Office, it's a graduate of DeVry University with a master's in small business, which surmised to me to say that he went to school here. He learned the theory as to what it means as a business expert to deliver for a company. He's a graduate of DeVry University with a master's degree. Our final minister went to school in the United States of America. His special advisor, Chocolate Speed, also went to school. Later running went to school, the Minister of Information. You can name almost 70% of the cabinet officials, from the deputy to the principal. They went to school in the West. So are you telling me that when you go to school and you learn the value of organization management, of policy implementation, of structures, are you telling me you don't learn it as a textbook? You don't learn it to apply it to your setting where you find yourself? They find themselves in Liberia. How can they make Liberia better when they learn the better things in a country that what we learn in the diaspora that is better? So they went back, with the grade sheet, with the transcript that they graduated from the university, they were never meant to implement them in our setting. Then we should appreciate them for not implementing what they learned. They should be implementing what they learned. So for you to tell me something in the diaspora that we should not replicate what we learned from here there, that we got a different platform. No, Mr. Eastman. No. Liberia is a very good laboratory for testing because we are yet underdeveloped. So whatever modern trade we learn, little political experience we have by living here and working here, when we go back to take up our job, we should be able to apply in our laboratory. Not to say, well, it's not going to work.
No, I get what you're saying.
Hold on, Jimmy. Why the
DeVry University gave our president a master's degree? Why the purpose of giving the degree?
Mr. Collison, I think you should fix your there's a
microphone
background.
The microphone.
Yeah, so you gotta fix your microphone a little bit, maybe plug in, adjust it, do some adjustment.
Let me see what I can turn this thing off.
It got static on the microphone.
Yeah, I thought it was from my end.
No,
but why he's doing that, Dennis?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Much better.
Much better.
So I will take 30 seconds. I will take 30 seconds to just conclude everything that I've said. Mr. Eastman, our president is a graduate of DeVry University. Our final minister, over 70% of those in his government went to school in the West. The privilege of going to school in the West is to learn the theory and be able to practice it if the opportunity is given to you. You're not telling me that all the education they got here, they went back in a laboratory like Liberia, and they could not have it to be tested because it's a laboratory, it's a different setting. Yeah, it's a different setting, but they have not done anything to show what they learned in terms of being able to apply in management, in governance, in policies. That's where I'm coming off from. So yes, it's a different setting, but they have the tools, the knowledge already to apply it. And they should not give an excuse.
Okay, I agree with you. But when they go there, they are not held to any standard. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right.
They are not held to a standard.
Yeah. But they are trained to make sure the standard to be upheld. Nobody got to tell you when you see to be a financial expert, do the right thing.
Thank you, Victor.
Yes.
Most of the time when people name development or things in Liberia, they are not outcome driven. For instance, but we are not talking about the outcome to measure the outcome. We are measure maybe what was built. Say if you build a hospital, the purpose of that hospital is to treat sick people. So if you have a hospital in the community and 10 people or you have 100 people dying from sicknesses that are common in the area, with the presence of the hospital now, what I want to hear is this has gone down. Instead of 100 people dying every year now, we have 20 people dying. That's an outcome. Most of the time when we hear about this development in Liberia, we don't hear about the outcome. What has it done as a result? If you are paying Weah school fee as a result of paying the school fee, what do we get? Do we have now more students coming out of college than before? Do we have an enrollment that has gone up than before? So what is it that everything that we are appreciating the president for, what has happened as a result? Do you hear that, or is that absent in our discourse?
No, I mean, look, Dennis, I will answer you with this. And I worked briefly in the NGO community in Liberia before I came to the States. There's a popular saying in the NGO community. I'll keep it real brief. But the NGO goes into the town and put a well in the center of the city, right? I'm sure all of us have heard this. And because they say the women that go too far on the outskirts of town to get water, they put a well in the center of the city, thinking they're doing something good for the women. And the well says that the women don't go there to get water from there. And eventually, they come back and say, why are you not using the water? And then they say, well, when we go to fetch the water, that's when we talk about our little secret. But when we come in the center of the town, we can't do that. I'm saying this to say, when the project is generated from the people, as opposed to this president looking for legacy, building 14 hospital where no one cannot even get a taxi to, no one can hardly get the people who really need a hospital cannot afford transportation just to go to the hospital. What does that do for the people? The hospital is going to be there and nobody's going to use it. You're talking about outcome. You go and you because you want to be, cool with the university student or whatever it is, you go and you give scholarship to a student or you pay a Weah fee or whatever it is. You want to be nice with the student. But then you haven't addressed the question of how would these students get educated? So you're increasing the student admission to university or high school by 10,000 students. But the teachers, you haven't done anything about the teachers. So now you have 10,000 new students who have gained entry into our school system. And yet they don't have laboratory equipment. They don't have libraries to read. Some of them don't have access to the computer. The teachers are not getting paid. So what kind of outcome do you expect to see? Nothing. And going back to the appreciation, have we wondered why this president is always playing in his backyard? People endorsing him and re-endorsing him and re-endorsing him. He wants to be appreciated. He goes into the CDC yard. Why is he not going to the city hall and bringing the market women who are not members of CDC, or bring in the pimping boys who are not members? That would be genuine appreciation that this president has done something for these people and they're coming to appreciate it. But you come into the CDC compound and you're looking for appreciation from there. That's like going in your living room and asking your family to come and gather around and sing praises to you for putting bread on the table.
It's like charity begins at home, right?
Well, yeah. Well, when are you going to go outside? It begins, but it doesn't always have to be there. It begins from there and spreads out. But for this president, he's always at home.
Mr. Dualo, here is the thing, right? Because everything you talk about Weah or the current administration, you want to measure is not in isolation, right? We are trying to measure against something. So
Correct.
anytime you talk about Weah, they say, but what is the alternative? Who can do
Correct.
better? They will tell you, Mr. Bwaka was there for 12 years. What did he do? Mr. Comey has not worked before. So Mr. Gonglo was saying government, I mean, how many, he's talking about rule of law, what has he done? So every time we are comparing, we are not looking at we are in isolation, it's against his competitors, his rivals, right? So are the opposition members helping we are to push this appreciation agenda? If people could, are we seeing clearly that
no.
Who is interrupting the so are we seeing any contrast to say yes, we
that was me, sorry,
because of this person? Or are the opposition leaders making we have to look like
John, can you hear me? Just give me thumbs up if you can hear me.
But did you hear me?
Okay.
Mr. Dualo,
I did hear you. I heard everything you said.
All right, go ahead.
I think I'm a little, I heard the question.
Yeah, before Dualo comes in. So I'm not sure if this is, I'm sorry, Dualo. I'm not sure if this is about the president and the opposition, Dennis. I don't think it should be. It should be about the president and his citizenry, his people. This has nothing to do with opposition. The president is the president. He has a responsibility, right, to improve the well-being of the people. That's his charge.
Right, but here's the background, right? They say he's doing good. Compared to all the presidents combined, he is the best. Well,
they say all he said. What do you mean?
Right. So if you think the president is not doing X, Y, Z, who can? So we cannot. Anytime we talk about the president, opposition comes in.
John, let me respond to you.
Before you respond, let me welcome Choppy Charlie. Choppy Charlie is a sedition since 2005. Choppy, there was a big job waiting for him at Weah 2005. Choppy, welcome to the show.
Yeah, my man. I don't know how to describe it, but it's cool. It's cool being back here. It's good to be back here. I've been monitoring the show and listening to the fellows, so it's good. It's good.
Thank you, Dualo. Comparing Weah to the opposition, people say, "Hey, I take Weah any day." What's your rebuttal?
So, yes, that's not people. It's the diehard seditions. But I want to say this: what happened at the CDC party headquarters today? It was not celebration of President Weah. It was a farewell to this Zogoras kleptocracy that we have experienced in Liberia over the last 6 years. President Weah was not being celebrated. He was being bid farewell. He's going to leave. Let me tell you the question you are asking. Let me answer the question to you directly. President Weah compared to literally everybody in the race. President Weah came to power because Liberian people were entirely, for some reason, there was this fanfare to the man. Not for the understanding that leadership requires so much more than this cereal. This got to see President Weah doesn't even want to be president to begin with. So compare President Weah to Honorable Gunglo. Compare him to Honorable Cummings. Compare him to Honorable Bwaka. He should not even be in the room, nor does he want to be in the room. The issue of governance is not a child's play thing. It's a serious business. Do you really want to tell me, can anybody sit on this platform or anybody who's listening, tell me, without any equivocations whatsoever, that President Weah understands even 2% of what it takes to truly transform this country? The man is fixated on himself. It's all about President Weah. You see people celebrating him. There are a few people in the country. You have to own a relation. What are you a president? As long as you're president, there will be that 10 to 15% of that population. They will just gravitate towards you. The President Weah is cooking a CDC party headquarters. They are going to go there. Do you know why they are paying pimping boys to follow them everywhere they go? Because President Weah has exactly who this man is.
What's wrong with your connection? We're having some connection issue there with you.
I think I'm going to log in and log back out.
All right. And Mr. Collison and Mr. Charlie, if you can flip your phone around so we can have landscape view. But before you do that,
Landscape, right?
yeah, landscape. All right, Choppy, you got it right. Good. Mr. Collison, before you do that, you have to put your phone in rotate mode.
My man, yeah.
All right, that's okay. Good.
Yeah, you got a man knocked off.
Now he's in Texas. He's not in Pittsburgh. So Choppy,
Yeah.
today is Weah Appreciation Day. I know you. So I want to before you respond to everything, I just want to get your kind of opening. Why was this day necessary that people appreciate President Weah for what he's getting paid for? Has he gone above and beyond?
Well, if you monitor the program, I think the president was telling the citizen thank you as a more to him being appreciated. The president wanted to use this day to express his appreciation to the citizen, especially we are almost to elections now, a few days from now. Over the past few days, over the past several years, they have worked alone, they have tolerated him, and more importantly, democracy is still strong in Liberia as ever before. And the people themselves, because the president sought to thank them, also thought it was important to celebrate the president because he has deepened democracy in the country since we are going to elections. People have turned out to vote, registered to vote. It was a good thing. Development, the president has done more development in half of the last government term, if you do all of the facts. So there was a lot of things to be celebrated today, both from the president's perspective and both from the partisan, those who put the president in power. Everybody thought it was important to celebrate this day. So it was a phenomenal day, and I think we are all proud of the work the president has done. And the president himself also proud of the citizen himself.
So you said the day was organized to thank the president. You said it's the other way around. The day was organized for the president to thank the people. Is that what?
Yeah, if you have seen the advertisement for the event, it was very clear that the president was saying thank you to the people. In fact, the president just left from Buchanan. He did the same thing. He thanked the people for coming out to register to vote. Registering and also participating in the development of the country. So it was actually the president celebrating the people today. But of course, the people also took the opportunity to celebrate the president. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with people celebrating the leader if they think the leader have achieved. And the record shows the leader have achieved. So what is the big fuss about that?
So if I can ask you this, and welcome to the show, Charlie. What is the president thanking the people for again for electing him 5 years ago?
Probably. I think you are narrowing on a thought process that was never uttered. I said the president was celebrating the people. Now that we are going to election, is another opportunity for all of us to make a new decision. And he thought that he should express his appreciation to the people over the last several years for the work they have done, most especially the democratic space that has been created in the country, and more importantly, why the people have all registered to go and make that decision about who they will be electing for the next 6 years. So it's a whole lot of reason why the president thought it was important to say thank you to the people. And I think any leader who respects these people should always celebrate the people and always express gratitude to them, because no president takes all government by themselves. It's the people that made a choice. And so the president thought it was important to say this today, saying they are going to make a new decision. And in that same space, the people themselves also realized that, also took an opportunity to celebrate the president for the work that he has done. I don't see anything wrong with that. Celebrating somebody for the good work and the other person in return celebrating you for what you've done. And the records are there to show the achievement the president has made. If you look at education now, I heard you're talking about education. The record is reflected especially when it comes to Weahs. It shows that the president a Weahs fee payment work in the country, because now every year we have more people passing Weah. And the reason why I'm using Weah is not conducted by Liberians. It's a West African examination. So Liberians go and take those exams. The records show that every year there has been improvement in performance. There's more students passing as opposed to when we had a unity party in government where students were failing every day. That passing mark, because for a student to go to school and pass, it's not just, it shows a whole lot of things taking place. That student must be feeling good to go to school. There are some other social cushion that should have been provided for that student. Their family should have been able to provide some other necessary need for that student to study, for that student to go to school. So a passing mark for a student shows that many other activities took place for that student to go and pass. And the fact that we have an increase of student performance in Weahs examination shows the government performing, shows the president has been performing. And we can go to other areas.
Well, Mr. Charlie, I respectfully beg to disagree with you.
You're free to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm making that caveat before I go further. I want you to know that the enrollment in school, in secondary education in Liberia, has dropped by 20%. Has dropped by 20% since the CDC government, especially among the male youth, has dropped by 20%. So if the enrollment has increased by more than what the previous number the previous government had, and the result you have produced from Weahs for high school graduate is significantly increased than what it was before, then your argument will be validated. But if the enrollment has dropped, and students are doing all they can do under the constraint to go to school to learn, and our president only pay Weahs fee, and you come and tell the on the forum to the Liberian people who listen to you that we are seeing great improvement. You use education as an example. I beg to disagree with you.
But
and the records are there.
The disagreement is not born in reality. That's the problem.
In the Ministry of Education, that enrollment has dropped in school. It has dropped by 20%.
That's why I give it. It's not born in reality, because the reality here is that we've had several years with the COVID situation in the country. That COVID year affected the country, that even caused a lot of students to drop from school. So it is not that the government action caused that problem. A lot of students, in fact, was not even going to school. So bringing students back in the classroom is going to take some time, even in the United States. As a result of COVID, the number of students that are even going back to the classroom has dropped. So this is not a fault of government. This is not a fault of the president. But the reality there is that the fact that students are passing, you have more performance. The performance of the student is at a higher rate. I think that should be something that we should celebrate more, because students now are performing better than in the past with the Weah exam. The reason why I'm using Weah exam, because Weah exam is not a government of Liberia program. For us to say maybe the government manipulated the passing grades. But annually, since the president introduced the Weahs fees off, and to you, Weahs fee means nothing. But to an ordinary person who cannot afford, a parent who is struggling, that could not afford that Weahs fee, a lot of students did not graduate in the past, but they could not buy, they could not pay for it. They didn't even take the Weahs exam, but they could not afford just that money.
Choppy.
So to you, it's not a great thing, but it's a major achievement. Imagine going to school for over 12 years or 12 years, and you reach to the last year for you to graduate, and because you cannot afford that money, you have to travel to college and grad school.
Choppy.
So that's a major achievement point.
Just quickly, where does the hold on, man. Where does the money, the Weah fee, where does it come from? You know,
the Weah fee, the money.
Yeah.
It's government money.
I mean, where is it? Is it in the budget, or is it in which? Where is it?
Well, you see, I think that question it coming from is in the budget, because the reality here is that the way the government works, and that's the function of the government. There are allocations made to different people or different government activities,
Right,
and so the president,
where is that allocation made?
It comes from the president budget. It comes from the president budget.
Okay.
It comes from the president budget. The president budgets. The president has. the way the law is structured in the country, and there's not a making of George Weah. There's not a making of George. These are legal instruments. The budget, they say, is law. The way the law works in Liberia, the president can use his budget to carry on whatever development goals he chooses. The president chose to use his budget to spend on education. That's not a violation of the law. That is in keeping with the law of Liberia.
Thank you. I didn't say that. I just asked you. Dualo.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
It's a law. It's a law of the country.
Go ahead, Dualo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Look, my brother mentioned, and Samuel will always mention this, which is entirely erroneous. In fact, there is no standard in our schools in Liberia. All the standards have dropped. There's somebody's passing wire. Go see the conditions of the school they're talking about. But, Samuel said the same thing, which was also a lie. My brother's repeating this. There are a lot of kids left schools because of COVID. They didn't go back. And I just got a question. I don't want to answer this question, but I want to ponder this question. What caused children in a third world location to drop out of school normally? What caused them to drop out of school? There are several factors that contribute to that. You see, what most clinicians do is they believe that things happen out of abstract conditions. They don't know that there are things that precipitate things to happen. They think, oh, the children drop out of school because of COVID. No, there are real economic conditions that force kids to drop out of school. People are making left and deaf decisions in Liberia where if they have 2 girls and 2 boys, they are deciding to send the boys to school. The boys to school and let the girls stay home because they don't have money. So there are real economic conditions causing people not to go to school. Why fees are only paid in 9th grade and 12th grade. From kindergarten to 9th grade, those crucial years, nobody cares. The public schools are literally non-existent in Liberia right now. President Weah has not just failed the educational sector. He's giving this facade. But the men paying wide fee, the men doing great. If you say what the statistics are and how the country is going, the gullible will say the man jealous of President Weah. The man not let the man because the man in America he ain't nursing home. This is what we're doing to our country, and the real stocks are out there. Go look at it. Go to the public schools in Liberia. Go see what they call public school. President Weah does not pay wire fee. That's a fallacy. Wire fee is being paid by the government of the Republic of Liberia in combination with our international partners. I'll give it to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Choppy, you are muted. So, but let's, when the president came to power, we have something called the PAPD. So any appreciation should be based on, what the government set forth to do, right? We teachers will teach, and based on what they have taught, they give the test. So they grade you based on what they've been taught, right? So the president said, have 4 pillars in the PAPD: power to the people, the economy and jobs, sustaining the peace, governance and transparency. Power to the people mean to reduce developmental inequalities so that people can prosper. Then for pillar 2, economic stability and job creation through effective resource. 3, sustaining the peace is promoting a cohesive society of sustainable development, governance and transparency, and inclusive and accountable public sector for shared prosperity and sustainable development. So anytime the president is listing his accomplishment, I'm looking for this thing, but sometimes I don't find it. But here is what I want us to come to. So Choppy, how do you weigh the president, what we are appreciating the president for today? How do you compare that to the 4 pillars?
How do you compare what? I didn't get the last part. How do you compare?
Where those things that we are appreciating the president for today with the 4 pillars, the things he set forth to accomplish in his first term?
Well, I think the criticism of the president
is not a criticism. Just enlightened.
No. I mean, I've heard criticism here tonight since I've even been here when I'm watching the show. So I'm responding based on some of the things I'm hearing to answer your question. The criticism suggests that this president is sort of make miracle and fix Liberia in 6 years. A 200-year-old country that was established, in fact, before 1847, we are saying all the problems in this country, this president should fix it in 6 years. And so we are criticizing him because he has not built Gold and Diamond Street. He didn't make all the school halls to have computers. He didn't do everything. I mean, it's humorous as least, or like Brent will say, I just laugh. Because, and I'm trying to answer your question to point to another area.
You said Taj Mahal is better now than it was 1988.
Yeah, I'm trying to answer your question. That given the Liberia, given the small financial budget we have as a country, it would be shameful that we have the kind of budget we even have now, where other people who said they knew better have gone in this country. That the budget has not expanded, money has not expanded the country. So how can this president do all of these things within the shortest possible time? It's impossible. And so I wanted to address another issue, just to address another issue when I'm hearing people talking about the economy, Liberians not doing this, and the money and all that stuff. Government cannot do everything in a space of one term of a president. Even in this great United States, no president, no government has solved all the country problem in one term or even two terms. The fact here is that there is progress in Liberia. And I think that is why we need to celebrate. There's a forward development growth. We're talking about the economy, and I hear people criticizing that Liberians are sharp. The question I want to ask is, who's selling all over Liberia? Who's selling all in the streets, or in the stores, or on the sidewalk? All the businesses are opening, all the new businesses are opening all across the country. Who own those businesses? Who are selling those businesses? Who are buying from those people? If the country is so broke and the economy is so messed up, how is it that on one street you have about 20 nightclubs? And I'm using nightclubs just as an extreme case here, because those are just pleasures or expense. And all these places are open, and people are making money, and people are jamming every night. They are balling, they are making music. Who's spending this money there? Where are they getting this money from to spend? How is it that Wallace market is still open? People are buying from Wallace market. People are still putting the market on the table, and then people are purchasing from them. Where is money coming from? How are the people selling the product to go and get new product? If somebody tell me there's nothing working in the country, the economy is so dead. How did the government budget has ballooned?
I gotta tell you this, Mr. Charlie, because
how is the government balling but you? But here's the real. Let me just end on this note. One of the things I think people have failed to understand here is that the Liberian economy have expanded. Before we had concentrated place of economic activity, it was either only at Red Market alone, either at Douala Market, either at Waterside or EAW Junction. So what was happening before was that everybody else was coming to these concentrated places to buy goods and services. So people who were selling at those concentrated places made a lot of money. But as a result of the expansion of the various communities in the countries, throughout the country, people in different locations now have markets. So I'm not an economist here, but I'm just using a term that I would describe as elasticity of supply. So a man who is living even in Margibi now is not going to come to EAW market to buy peanuts or slippers or whatever. So that means the man who is selling at EAW market that was making $10 during the last regime is not going to make $10 again. He might make less than $10, not because the economy is poor. It is because people now are buying the product from other places. They are not coming there. So elasticity of supply, let's say equilibrium of demand has created elasticity of supply, because demand is everywhere in the country. Demand is in Toison, demand is all the places. That demand has created elasticity of supply. So somebody is selling in our place, they're going to buy the product right there. They're not coming to EAW Junction. They're not going to raid that market. So I'm not going to make more money like I did in the past. If I'm selling the raid market, I'm going to make less money.
Choppy, what kind of economy? Where you learn now?
I told you, it's reality. If for example you are selling a rail market, you are making $100 in the last year. Because somebody in
let me say this, Choppy. Let me tell you this. Maybe you may not.
No, these are facts. It could be humorous. It could be humorous to you because you're not trying to deal with reality.
The elasticity of supply deals with the price change. How the price change of a good would determine the quantity supplied or not supplied. That's what elasticity of supply is.
Yeah.
So Chappie, you made a rhetorical question. So give us chance to comment a little bit.
I just wanted to mention this. Maybe Mr. Charlie Menando. I know this because I have aunts and things who sell in the markets. Most of the people who sell in the markets don't own those goods they sell. If you didn't know that, most of those women are taking the goods from the stores that belong to those expatriates and selling them on the market. You may not know that. Two, you tell me if you had a 15, 14, 13-year-old daughter who will put $300 worth of grumpy on her head and be parading the street, which is less than $5. You really call that selling? You call that economy booming? Because that's what you
No, but you're going to the list.
Hold on, Chappie. I want us to move on. So complete your thought, Mr.
Street peddlers are always been in Liberia. Just we didn't create that. You in America, we have streets.
Hold on, Chappie.
That's what we're talking about, Charlie.
Choppy, you were talking about hope for change. I thought this is what we were here for, to change what has been. You can't tell me because it was done before, therefore.
No. I'm not saying because it was done before. You are telling me that
brothers, you keep talking over everybody. You gotta wait, let us come in. You said it's been like that. It wasn't Weah who brought it. And I'm telling you, even if it were, that doesn't make it normal. It doesn't. You can't tell me here that somebody's selling $100 worth or $200 worth of planting chips on the roadside. That's economic development. That's not what we're talking about here.
Thank you.
Let me get one comment, Mr. Jab, before you move forward. Can I?
Yeah, sure.
When the Liberian people voted overwhelmingly for President Weah, it was a protest vote of, I would say, the ordinary people to quote unquote evict him. And they believe that Mr. Weah being one of them would have transformed the livelihood to a better life. So if you're telling me that because they are selling in the market, they are petty trading and they cannot even afford to continue to keep the children in school, they can trade up with them or who go to school this year, they cannot even afford to have food on the table as a boost to the economy, then well, maybe I need to go back to learn economic, economic 101, 102. But if I'm concerned, because we could do better, and we're measuring for what he has done. We have opportunity to all of the records after he leaves the presidency. Whether that's 6 years or 12 years, we're measuring. But for right now, the indicators what we see in the streets, in the family, well, there will still have work to be done.
Thank you. I want to bring in the callers. Callers, if you are joining.
No, could I respond to that before you bring the caller in?
Hold on, Choppy. If you want to join the conversation, the number is scrolling right there. Please call it and be part of the conversation. But I want to bring in one piece before I bring in the callers. So let me put this number on the screen right there for you. And we can start from there. The number is in the scrolling text. Yeah, here is it. If you want to be part of the conversation, 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. One last thing before we bring in the caller is on the eve of the Weah Appreciation Day, a day or two before this day, I just want to mention that there was a beef. The president and the former vice president, they were beefing. Choppy, you heard that? But here, what happened, right? And I want to get your candid opinion. Mr. Buaka was quoted as saying that the president was a bobo senator. He did not speak in the Senate while he was there. The president responded during his rally in Bassa that Mr. Buaka did not see him raising his hand because Mr. Buaka was sleeping. And in that same speech, he said, he was being recognized by the pro tem Abochie. Right, Chappie, is that right? Abochie was, am I missing something here? Like Abochie was pro tem during the time Mr. Weah was. But on a most serious note, should our leaders be doing these things? Is that what really matters they should be talking about here? Let me start with Mr. Dualu here. Who put his hand up? Whose hand was down? Who was sleeping?
Yeah. Look,
Or are they trying to be funny here?
look, listen. What I want to say is, your question. Can you ask that question again? Because I want to make sure I understood the question entirely.
Right. Before the Weah Thank You rally, Mr. Bwaka and President Weah, they were what we know today as beefing.
Yeah.
Was that necessary?
Well, I'm going to say this. I hope President Weah can beef on the podium with a national debate discussing the issues pertaining to Liberia. I wish he's willing to do that beef. Look, he called Honorable Bwakai Joseph the Sleeper. But I will say this to the president, and when it comes to Honorable Bwakai, look, Honorable Bwakai is an old man. There is no argument to the contrary. Nobody's going to tell you otherwise. But I will say this to you. Joseph built Egypt. Joseph built warehouses to sustain the people. So he called him Joseph the Sleeper. How about Joseph the Developer? The beef that we want to see is a debate on a podium with the presidential candidates telling the Liberian people what are their solutions for Liberia. I'm not interested in this childish thing by President Weah, who goes on his pulpit and start and throwing hints and insults and maligning other political leaders in the country. Let him go in the proper studio before proper journalists and take serious questions pertaining to our people. We joking. The entire country has digressed substantially under President Weah. What we are taking for fun, these are real consequences to real people in that country. This is not a joking matter. Don't listen to the children are saying, oh, the jail hit a ball. They jail up because the man get BB government car and they get car too. This is not an issue. It's not about having cards. It's about real women dying in Liberia. Child, do you realize if your wife gets pregnant in Liberia, if she goes to a hospital to give birth right now in Liberia, if she comes home and the baby dies, you say, thank God? Because a higher increase in the country of maternal mortality rate in the country. The entire country is being zogarized. I don't care about President Weah jobs as the vice president. What I do care about is for President Weah to come out and say to the Liberian people what are his solutions to our many problems in the country. That's what I'm interested in. I'll give it to you guys.
Thank you. Jimmy.
Yeah.
Quite recently, there was a video of Liberian women fighting, and people are there sitting around taking pictures and laughing about it as if it's funny. In fact, we had some top opposition members who were posting and making joke about it as if that's funny. So when I saw what was happening, the president, Mr. Bwaka, I said, but why people think these things are funny? I don't know if you came up with that or I'm making a leap year by making that comparison. Somebody who have died at that place where they say they're in the parking lot and these are women, I think 2 times now it happened within the same maybe a week or so. Big women are fighting and it's funny to people and they are sharing videos and people are laughing. And I see, oh, Joseph the Sleeper. You see, on one hand, Mr. Bwaka was able to be alert enough to see that Weah was not talking, but wasn't alert to know that 66 out of 68 concession agreement were bogus. Mr. Weah, on the other hand, is talking about, oh, he was sleeping. The only thing he said was he brought passport price. Is that a legislation or what was that? I didn't think these people for a joke. What's going on here?
We're in the era of social media, and social media is changing the way people look at things. I saw a video the other day of this man drowning, and instead of anybody going to save the man, all of them taking pictures to post it on social media. We see, in other words, the way the values are changing, the way people look at things are changing all the time, and so I think it's perfectly natural that President Weah takes a jab at whoever his opponents are. I see that happening all the time in politics. I think it's natural, and I expect that. It might sound, and I think I like that how he made humor of it, because humor, it helps maybe charm him to certain people. Okay, so With that, and that's what I think that has been the charm of Weah, that he resonates with the grassrooters on a certain level because of his type of humor that he suggests. Okay, but to Charlie, we all really celebrate our president. He was a shining star when Liberia was going through a lot. But now he's taking on a very, very serious role of nation building. And that is no joke. It's not a celebrity job. That's a hardworking job. And we I think a lot of stuff he does is attributed to he's not holding his people accountable for everything they do. He has to have a standard for them. And even the brother Collison was saying that, well, the people were educated in America. They should know the thing. No, even here in corporate, all of us have a yearly evaluation of our performance, whether we come from the Ivy Leagues or anywhere. We have an evaluation that keeps us on track, that keeps us up to date. That's what has to happen. You have to evaluate the people's performance all the time to keep them on their toes. So some of us have corporate experience, they have leadership experience. So we know when this thing is not happening, it's not going to go right because you're not making these people accountable. And that is what, if I had any fault, I would say he's got to hold these people to a high standard. They have to be accountable. And to do that, he himself has to conduct himself in a certain way. So I see a lot of comments here. Nobody likes the president. That's the worst thing anyone could say, because all of us adored him. But you have taken on a role that everybody is looking at, and we know where the country is. The country is down, and we got to get it up. So that is why we're looking for positive ways to add our opinion and our advice and our expertise to take the country to the next level. That's our intention, not to bring him down.
Mr. Namwe, we just want each of you speak, and then we bring in our callers. Namwe, man, Mr. Collison, and then Choppy.
Okay. What is it you're asking?
Anything you want to comment about?
Oh,
including the beef.
Including the back and forth between the president and the former vice president?
Yeah.
Yeah, this president is good with these little sound bites. He can afford to do that because we know it takes time to solicit opinions from his people, and then he comes up. Otherwise, he will put himself up for a debate. He doesn't want to do that. The past elections, he refused to debate. But it's healthy when they debate the issues. I don't think what they're doing right now serves any purpose, taking jabs at each other like that. I would like to see them discuss the issue and like Duago is saying, let them agree to formally gather at a setting and have the press moderate the debate and let them debate the issues. To Eastman's point, the president's evaluation, I think, is how much praise singing you do to him. I mean, this is the president who has never had any reshuffle since he's been in office. People have railed against some of his officials. You can't tell me all of the officials in the government are doing well. There's got to be some way that, the president will hold his people accountable. He doesn't want to do that. He's either unwilling or he's incapable. But he has refused to bring any fresh ideas into the government. Some of these people have been with him since he came into office. So, I don't know how he's evaluating his people other than the fact that they come to him and sing praises to him, and that's how he retains them in their positions. That's why.
Thank you.
If he's serious about the issue, let him accept a debate, a challenge for a debate, and let the candidates debate the issues. The last time we saw, most of the guys, the little Brumskin, Yuri, Cummings, Boaka, all of them gathered, you understand, and they stood in front of the cameras and debated the issue. The president didn't show up. Then he was a candidate. He refused to show up. But, he would take swipes at his church or wherever, when he's comfortable. To me, that is just, that's he's clowning around.
Thank you. Choppy, you think the president should avail himself for a debate this time around?
Yeah, coming for the Choppy or after Choppy?
Let Choppy come. Choppy, should the president avail himself for a debate?
Debate, intellectual festival has not served Liberia. I'm not impressed with debates because we have some of the loud noise people who are the best education from Ivy League schools in Liberia, and we are seeing them perform as abysmally. In fact, they lack the basic knowledge of nation building. They just talk. So I'm not interested in a talk festival. I'm interested in real work done on the ground. And what the president has shown over the last 6 years is that talking and debating and showing that you know has not cut the deal. We've had people in Liberia who have been in government, and I'm hearing about changing people. The problem in Liberia is not personnel change, but we have changed many times. The problem is whether people are able to do the job. Take, for example, Vice President Joseph Weah. Right by his house, he has a ghetto. He's a co-owner of that ghetto in the prostitution center that is owned by his son. He has been there since he was vice president. That place has been running. He has never had the moral courage to shut that ghetto down where prostitution goes on, drug goes on, people get, I mean, this is where most of these Zogo life began. He has been there a long time. So that man we're going to talk about debating. What is he going to debate when he's a contributor to the problem in the country, the dysfunction, when he's contributing towards a drug problem in the country? Because it's a fact. It's not propaganda. His sons owns that property which he himself co-owned right by his house. And while that ghetto was there, he did not even have the audacity to even use his influence as the president of the Senate. That's why the president said he had been sleeping, to even build a road. It was this president, despite Baga's so-called knowledge and debating and intellectual power, but it took a George Weah to come and put road, to build roads, community roads between where he lived there, that people now have more access to move around. So let's look at the difference between somebody who was just talking with all the intellectual power and the man who was actually doing work. So I'm more interested in the work being done as opposed to the talk. And let me close on this note.
You're telling me what you're saying here is how the Zogo life begins, as opposed to $100 million worth of.
I'm saying that we're talking about.
Are you telling me
let me end my thought.
People, $100 million worth of.
Hold on, Victor.
Look, you're talking about $100 million drugs. When Joseph Baka was president, the same situation that happened in Liberia with the FBI telling Liberian government that drug dealers in the country happened under his watch. Those people never even saw the day in court. Again, we're talking about intellectual. I can fight corruption, I can fight drug. Under George Weah, those people went to court. They went through the legal process. Under Joseph Baka, nobody saw the daylight of court. So talking is not doing the work. It's a two different things. But I'm closing on this note, on this point, and I'll let you get back to the point I made earlier about the economy.
Choppy.
Yeah.
Choppy, do you hear me when I speak?
I'm hearing that. Sometimes I don't get it clear.
Right, but why because you said something, there's a ghetto where drugs, so prostitution, and Joseph Baka co-owned that, you said. And the police under this president doing nothing about it, the law enforcement in the country.
Well, you know, ghetto, even in America, there are ghetto all around the place. Police pass by those ghetto. These are social problems that are very difficult to solve. But my point, the core point there is that why would Joseph Baka, a man who is claiming to be a drug fighter, on his watch, a drug house was created right beside his house, right by his fence, where prostitution goes on, and he has never even had the moral courage to speak against those things, but now he's telling you that he's know how to fight drug and can make the country better. That's a myth. But let me close on this point. The point I'm going to close on, because I don't want people to misinterpret what I said earlier about the economy. And when I try, again, I repeat, I'm not an economist here. I'm speaking as a layman. I'm saying what has happened in Liberia under George Weah, what the economy is, equilibrium of demand has caused elasticity of supply. What do I mean by equilibrium of demand? Again, I'm not an economist here. This is a layman viewpoint. Equilibrium of demand means that now in Liberia, everywhere, every community now, the demand for goods and services in this community have caused supply to go into this community. So supply has expanded. So the man who was just concentrated at Red Leg or ELW Junction at Waterside Market that was making all of the money during Joseph Baca governance is not making that money because the demand has occurred to other places, has taken supply from Red Leg to go to those places, has taken supply from ELW Junction to go to those places, has taken supply from Waterside. So he's not going to make the same money. It doesn't mean money is not circulating, but at least this time the money is shared. We want to share, and that's why the president talks about participating. At least everybody is getting small portion of the money as opposed to yesterday when only one person was getting all this money.
Well,
that's a layman viewpoint.
That equilibrium supply demand is not being felt in the southeast. People from Hapo go to Taboo to get pepper.
Thank you, Manam. Just 1 minute. Let's bring in the callers. There are a lot of callers waiting.
Well, I mean, I will appreciate that we speak here as laymen if we want to speak here. They inject any professional context of an argument that we cannot support by the context of the subject matter. That's just a caveat I want to say. Second thing, on my last time I was on your show, I made it very clear that President Weah is one of the fewer presidents in the world who ever applied for a job that never got interviewed. The interviewing question is the presentation before the Liberian people to a Q&A as to why he's capable for the job. The first time he applied for that job, he was never interviewed by a former VP. We come now to the issue of the VP, former VP calling you a bobo. He said former VP is a sleeper man. Now, if you were not speaking and the VP was sleeping, why can't I translate that into a debate stage to prove to the VP at the time he was sleeping, these are the things that I was saying, that I talked with me to the presidency and I have done. Then why can't the VP instead of the word at the time you couldn't talk, but I gave you your bubble because when you deaf, you're also dumb, or when you dumb, you're also deaf. So you didn't get it. These are the things I was not sleeping on. Maybe my eyes were just shut, or my brain was interested. But I understand it. But for anybody to start making an argument now that a debate to sift the issues about what I've been concerned about, the nitty-gritty issues, that we should not have it, it means that the supporters of the CDC, they are already preparing a cover for President Weah. So let us leave all the, I know that election time, a lot of comical, classical, contemporary jokes will come about. Bobo, the other, back and forth, feeding the rest. But it's about time, after 5 years, say you never apply for the first time for the job, you got a job. Now, after 5 years of working, come on the stage of reasoning, and tell the Liberian people as to why we must give you another 6 more years.
Thank you.
Don't say Stargate, the Charlie and other people taking the airwave right now. Come and tell us why you want 6 more years. Because as far as we're concerned, until you can explain what the first 6 years we gave you and why you look for another 6 more years, Charlie, those academics you dare explaining right now, maybe I gotta go back and read Paul Simonson because the economic book I read when I was in college. It doesn't anyway find any theory in a basis. So don't take that. They say we have an economic expert speaking here. Maybe Dr. Lester Taylor needs to come on the show to discuss about the economic thing because he's the economic guru with the CDC party. But please, we look forward for a debate. Let him tell us the job we're getting that you never applied for all the last 6 years, what did he achieve? Whether you are now a bobo or not in the Senate, let him come and tell you you're never a bobo. And let's move forward with that. Liberian people deserve better. We want to know better from our president. And he might not go on the cover of the sour gate to say what he's not going to come. He must show up.
Thank you. Thank you. And definitely, if our candidates, if you are listening, we need a serious debate. And Focus on Liberia is willing to host that debate. Let me get some callers here quickly. Callers, you have a minute each. Let's start with Mr. Evis Morris. He's been here 21 minutes now. Evis, you're live. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. John, and hello to the panelists. Before I start, let me say, Mr. Carlson, please He's sorry for some of us who are listening to the show on headphones. You know. But Mr. Ishmael, I must tell you, thank you for being balanced, and thank you to Choppy for coming on at least to balance the conversation. One of the things that Choppy Charlie said that I must agree with is that people expect President Weah, who most of them, think is less competent than his predecessor, to solve one of the problems of the country with less resources than his predecessor had. So this man is not going to perform miracles. The reality is Liberia is a poor country with very little resource, and we are going to be struggling no matter who comes in the office after President Weah. We're going to struggle for a while. War also destroyed our country for 14 years. So we are in a very, very dark place in terms of our economy, even our social, structure. The fabric of our society is also eroded over time. So all of these things take time to nation build. This is not something that's going to happen in 10 years. The previous government certainly made some positive, change, and the president has done some good things. Certainly, as a supporter of this president, I have my criticism of him, but I won't be like somebody like Dwell who can muster up the courage to say anything positive about the president. Contrast that with Mr. Eastman, who can equally criticize but equally be fair and balance and give the president some flowers. So the discussion tonight was going one-sided, but I think. Thank you, Mr. J. I'm sure you were working in the background to get Charlie Chappie on.
No.
And you came on and brought some balance.
No, I didn't work in the background. I told you, Chappie has already agreed to come, and he was running late. Okay. All right. Let me take the next. Let me take the next caller. Thank you, Evans. Mr. Aliyu Kamara, go ahead, sir. You're live.
Yeah, somebody agreeing with Chappie Charlie tonight. That's amazing. But listen, I heard a few things. Somebody said that George Weah normalized the budget. Laughable. George Weah spent $40 million on COVID. Laughable. So many things are said on here tonight. Very laughable. How do you normalize a budget when you say you have an $800 million budget and you always short? You're always short. And not only that, how do you normalize the budget when you have to always borrow money to pay civil servant salary?
I think it was the schedule, right? They're now operating from January to December. I think that's what he was talking about.
What is the significance of that?
No, just pinpointing what he was talking about. They said they wanted to be in line with the rest of the sub-region. That's their budget cycle.
Yeah, that process actually improved civil servant salary. It bought new uniform for the police and all of that. Listen, we know that COVID even helped this government. This is a government that has an $800 million budget but doesn't pay for anything. Everything comes from either donations or borrowing. For the past 6 years, this government has not bought uniform for the police. This is a government that has medical buildings, don't have any equipment there. Look, listen to me, give me a job. My woman is a nurse. She went to the hospital, took somebody at GFK just these few days. Then do you know that C-section women, they're sharing bed, 2 women to a bed at the maternity center at GFK. 2 women to a bed. As a result of that, they put a very serious security at the maternity center. It's not easy for patient family members to go into the maternity center. And people say on the show, say, Joe Weah is doing well. These are some of the things he's doing. Let's talk about some of the roads that Joe Weah built. From Congo Town to go inside Showcase, Expression. The only reason why they built that road is because they had places there where they were giving people, where they were testing people for COVID-19. Then they made millions of dollars over there. And do I even have to manage the road at 3 Mile Road, no community road? No community road is about a mile, not 3 miles. Okay, you said it, man, did you know that the roads that were already built, did you know that the roads that were already built, the men take it and turn it upside down? The Ralph Highway, the men flip the quota upside down. Okay, the men have created so much traffic in Monrovia, you will wonder. The road from, like the guy was talking, the TCS school, that road that going straight to that's supposed to go to Paco Payne. Ellie had paved that road all the way to the border in Ghana. Do you know that Joe Weah flipped that road upside down since 2019? You can't fix it? No, it's just so bad when people sitting in the country, when you go to the country, you see the devastation. You see poverty increasing. You see the people say, oh, Liberia is a youthful population. Do you know why Liberia is a youthful population now? Because nobody living long. That's why Liberia is a youthful population. That's because it's a good thing.
Thank you.
But thank you for having me.
Thank you, Aliyu. With more callers coming, Derek Paul, let's be 1 minute at most.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dennis, thank you for taking my call. I hope you'll do a show one day entitled Why Liberians Lack Patriotism. I don't think nobody loves that country, Dennis. It is so sad. You see, I hope you will get your hands on the report that Obama Kamara just did. I think he did an extensive research on revenues over the years, at least over the past almost 17 years, right? So he did the Unity Party raised about $4.8 billion according to him. I'm still trying to get my hands on that report, right? And he said about $4 billion went into recurring expenditure. Only $800 million was spent back into the economy, Dennis. Then this is felony on the academic level. So you see, when you see CDC holding the Unity Party in a web that it cannot get out of, that's the reason why. Because the people were there. Ministers are making 30,000, 50,000, Dennis. So everything you see CDC is doing today is started from the Unity Party government, Dennis. You see, and it sounds funny when I said this, right? But the future of Liberia right now rests on the shoulders of Mr. Alexander Cummings and Mr. Pierre Gongo. Liberia got to move forward. We cannot go back to the Unity Party. We cannot go back to CDC. This is serious. This is wrong. Because again, the number one reason for corruption, if you took a poor man, you put him into some office, and all of a sudden millions of dollars start crossing his decks, and you know that he has only 6 years in the office, he is tempted to take the people's money. No, man, with strong conviction and principle will keep his integrity. This thing is serious. For Liberia to move forward, for Liberia to see something different, we need a change. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I really appreciate the show tonight.
Thank you. Morris Gassama, you are the next. Go ahead, Morris.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I don't know where Choppy Jolly got it from that. No government has ever succeeded in a first term, only in a second term. Okay, if that is the case, that has to be determined by what you did during the first term. Yes. Why is it that the CDC wanted to remove Manastalevsky or first term? If that's the argument. And here you are. You don't want to show to defend President Weah's agenda. To give reason why they should say President Weah, thank you. But at the same time, you argue that President Weah cannot come to the public to tell the people his own achievement, to defend his own achievement in the debate. This is the deceit that the guys are being carried on. And they think they will be successful this time around. No. President Weah has to come to defend his own achievement. What he did for the country and why he should be re-elected. I mean, this is just sad for the country. Thanks for taking my call, mate. I think you got too many calls.
Thank you, Morris. Let me get a call family. Call your life.
Hello, everybody. Look, Dennis, I'm going to be very quick. I just called to laugh. One of your panelists said that Joseph Boykai's neighborhood is drug infested, and he's defending George Weah. George Weah is the man's neighbor. They live a stone's throw away from each other. You can stand in Boykai, I see George Weah's house. That thing made me laugh so hard. I'm like, have you even been to Weah's house to even know what you're saying? So basically what you're telling the world is that the sitting president's neighborhood is a drug-infested whore, stomping ground. And what sense does that even make? I just say, because I live there, and he's a private citizen, or anyone else that lives in the neighborhood, it's not the government's responsibility, but it's even funnier that that's George Weah's neighborhood. It's hilarious. Weah has a house right there. He has another house by the old Defense Justice Ministry in St. Clair. but his main primary residence is literally across the street diagonally from where Weah's house is. Why even make that kind of statement? Y'all acting like we never lived in Liberia, like we don't know where these places are. Like, you know, well, who are you? Who's your audience? When you make these kind of statements, who do you think is listening? People who left Liberia in 1980? Seriously? Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I know that not probably you guys going on in this show, but I have to say it was just a lot of really bizarre things were said, but that one was funny. He was basically condemning the ethnicity or condemning boycott. Y'all have a nice evening.
You too. Thank you. Let me get Amos George. Mr. George, you're live.
Yeah, Dennis, how you doing?
Good.
The guy who spoke about CGC, defending the CGC government, I got a few questions to ask. Some networks said they had a budget surplus. If they had a budget surplus, why they have not been able to meet up with the payroll all the time? One. Two, you said that Joseph Walker's son and Joseph Walker own the ghetto that in question that you spoke about. You are the government today in power. Are you telling me you sanction the people, Joseph Walker and his son having a ghetto that is selling drugs that are affecting the children of Liberia? Are you telling me your government is sanctioning that action? The third one is you talk about the $1 million drugs that came because the people went to court. What was the outcome on your government? The people were scot-free. Less than 2 months, a $35 million drug bust again was in Monrovia. Honor your government. Tell me what your government is doing to combat the drug issue in Liberia, the Zocos, as a referred to. What is the policy that George Weah government has put in place to help those people? I was giving to you that Joseph Walker, the Ellen Johnson government say, I will give that one to you. But what policy that your government is supporting to them put in place to help those children to get them from that habit? Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you so much. Next caller, 602 area code. Your name and where you calling from?
Calling from Arizona.
What's your name, please?
This is Jida King.
Excuse me?
Hello? Yeah. This is Jida King.
Jida King. Go ahead, Jida.
Okay. First of all, let us talk about who on the show that constitute anybody who telling the president thank you was wrong or right. Any group can get up. Like in America, CPAC can get up and Donald Trump thank you any day. Nobody, none of y'all will talk. You're in America or American citizen, but you're not making no work. But you set the standard in Liberia so high. But in America, if CDC want to tell that president thank you, it's none of your business. You just sit on the show there and tell them how it's not your role. So if they want to talk politics, just talk politics. And by the way, most people in America would move and go wrong for president like that. Just don't know the politics in Liberia. That's why you're saying we get where people teach your money for nothing. That's one thing.
People from America been winning.
People from America been winning.
A lot. But go ahead.
Okay.
Groupie came from America, he won.
I heard a guy talking about Joseph Walker's son have drugs. If I ever get it. It's true. And I heard another guy talking about why the government can't arrest. If the government go arrest that man right now, go raid our ghetto, you will be the same on this show yesterday about the government reach on to and this and that. We let some time, why they be on the man? You can talk show where you're finished. Man, I don't know what you're talking about. They would teach us what it was. On a case, y'all went there and go protest at the prison. Now you're talking about if you go to raid, just like that son. When you go there now, you'll be a simple person come on here to go. We are on there. The political enemy there.
Thank you.
So, what you said?
No, I said thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Let me take the last caller here. That's Teddy Ted Lion Yankon.
thanks very much, Dennis, John. You know, we all have some levels of respect on your platform, which we're looking for. That the platform could be one of those platforms that will cover our historic election. But you need to, really scrutinize the platform sometimes when you invite some of those very angry, desperate politicians who so angry and desperate for politics and who don't touch with hate for President George Weah. And if we're going to know that this man is an extraordinary man in our society, there's nobody can compare themselves with President George Weah. He does extraordinary things. So it left for the people to approach him or appreciate him in an extraordinary way, because you cannot tell the people when to give flower to President George Weah. My brother just left from there. This is all about appreciation. It's all about CDC. It's not the whole entire country. All of citizens, John CDC, that's good because of what President George Weah have done for Liberia. Okay, those desperate politicians should be talking about. They have Joseph Weah squander the opportunities of the young people when he was serving as vice president. The youth and sport, the youth development was on his watch, and agriculture was on his watch. What he did, he squandered all these opportunities. And at the same time, he was destroying the lives of the young children. His son was selling drugs. It's true. He got denied, and my brother he just said something that I was about to say. And he just we are having a great outcome. Joseph Weah son. You see people will come there and defend, So we read between the lines, and we will not deter when anybody will come on the platform there. We all were going by the seaside. So we got everybody through our ear. So we all can shout.
Thank you.
Talking Charlie have made us expected related to the achievement of President George Weah. But it's not for you to accept it, but you remain intransigent. That's all the evidence they fight, and you refuse to allow the evidence of the fight. When you use the terrorists to find a way to terrorize around President George Weah. You are here for this cause. You will defend the cause. You will not give your chance until President Weah be re-elected. After he will hold the hands of somebody else, and that person will move another 12 years. But you're not ready. You're not get it. You will not get it the position right now.
Thank you.
50 years, CDC will remain in power. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, quickly, let's go around the room for your response to the callers. Let's use at least 30 seconds each. We are way out of time. Let me start with Mr. Eastman.
Well, one thing I don't, I trust that Liberians can be very sentimental in their, display of politics. For me, the journey ahead of us has to be a unified effort. It has to be well organized. We have to rebuild systems, and it requires professional approach. And regardless of the sentiment you may have, that's not going to do it. It has to be organized. It has to be professional. It has to be scientific, and also it has to be what the people want. So as we go ahead and we are sentimentalizing our favorite, when are we going to start thinking Liberia first? Liberia should be first before any one of our desires or feelings. The country should come first. And the sooner we get there, the sooner we have a vision of what we want our country to be, the sooner we will be on that journey. That's where I come.
Thank you. Choppy?
Yeah. Look, the callers have made some very important points. Some of the callers, which I do agree with. And some of them try to always joke with reality. Nation building, I repeat, is not an event. It doesn't happen overnight. It's never going to happen overnight. Nation building is a everyday thing, generation upon generation, because each generation have the same challenge every day. Today in the United States of America, they still have a drug problem in this country. There was a time, as great as America was, all of the major cities of America were dysfunctional with drugs all over the place. People were walking around. Does it mean that the American president or the American government was not doing things? No, because government have priorities. And given the challenge resources in Liberia due to the failure and bad governance and sheer incompetence of the past, mainly Joseph Weah and his squanderer team or squanderer brigade, it makes it difficult for Liberia to move to the level at which we want to move. So it's going to take some time. Government has to prioritize what they do. George Weah has built hospital now across the country. People say the hospital is not well equipped. At least we got hospital now. Those hospitals wasn't there. That's progress. George Weah's second term, maybe we'll see all the equipment there. That is progress. If the squanderer brigade during the 12 years has done some of these things, do your part, and the next term, another person do your part, I think the country would have moved forward and we'll be having a better country each time. But the country has always been at 1816, 1822, 1847 level. It is now we are shifting the ball. The curve is being turned and we'll reach to where we want to reach over a generation of time.
Thank you. Mr. Collison.
Well, it is a known fact that in government there will all be people with malfeasant or non-feasant characteristics. With all due respect to your callers, some of our opinion on this platform was that it is not an intention to discredit the government, but to create an eye-opener as to what we see that they are not seeing, or what they are overlooking, or what they fail to do, or should have done right. I agree with you, Charlie, that Liberia is bigger than every one of us. In all Liberia, we want to make sure that the CDC government is leaving behind a foundation of a structure that the next government can build upon.
New hospital, foundation.
I come in. The United Party government that you call a bunch of squanderers, they built the Jackson Doe Hospital in Nema County. They renovated the JSA. They renovated all major government hospitals around the country were renovated. They added free tuition to medical school, that they paid students going to medical school to become doctors. Up to now, the students have still been paid on the United Party government. We got more Liberian doctors graduated from medical school than ever before. Now, if we talk about squandering, for all those guys in government who are there living in one bedroom, couldn't even pay their rent, they are all become millionaires overnight. Having buffet champagne wedding in Paris, owning buildings in overall places around the country. We talk about drugs. When a close social confidant of the president by the name of Bushi, that live out the rehab room in the president compound, is a major drug dealer. The city government has the authority. The power is invested in their hands. Whether the Boga's son or whoever, they should sweep every ghetto up in our country. Make arrests, send people to court. Don't be afraid of political backlashes. Former Chief Justice in jail for conspiracy to murder. All the political backlash she's still going through it. Do your job. Do your job. Liberia deserves better for our future generation. That is my point.
Thank you.
There's no cover up, there's no blanket or white or golden parachute for anybody in the government to use. They say, well, we all put in do this, I'm not going to do this. It is your turn to do it. Never becoming rich too overnight. Since you never part of a got rich, then you two got rich overnight. Women start calling names of all the millionaires that in Monrovia that in government. What, who could even afford one bedroom
Great. I'll leave it at first.
Thank you. Victor?
Are we reacting to the call, or are we doing closing remarks? Which one?
To the calls.
Okay, I was listening. The majority of the callers, I think they're just as confused as I am as to what it is that we're thanking this president for. I listened to my friend Charlie. He said, nation building is not an event; it's a process, and I quite agree with him. It is a process, but it begins from somewhere. I haven't heard him say, point to where this president's nation building efforts have begun. This president is presiding over a government, as many people have pointed out here, that has not seen it fit to do a minimum reshuffle. His deputy minister and minister of education are fighting. His deputy minister and minister of foreign affairs are fighting. His deputy at water and sewer and the director are fighting. I mean, come on, what is it he's running here? Is this really a government? And you expect us to come here and sing praises to this government for what? For what? What exactly has this president achieved? The man drives on the very road in front of the Freeport. That is the gateway to the economy. That's why we say, like, look at the roads at the Freeport. Look at the road in front of the Freeport. I mean, I was there last January. You're driving in front of the Freeport, looking down all those places. It's like you're on a highway. And and he's talking about building roads. Building roads where? To Jamaica Resort? How many people use that road to go to Jamaica Resort? So the colors are it's really surprising that this president will have the gall to go and put 2,000-3,000 people in the CDC fence, and put a drone overhead and trying to project crowd. He's trying to tell us that the people are really behind him. 3,000 is what percentage of the voting population in Liberia. So we're waiting for the campaign season to start, and we'll really contrast, as sharply as possible, this president's ineptitude, this government's ineptitude, and we'll tell our people why this government should not go back to the executive mansion. We're waiting, even though he can't wait. He's already out and about and campaigning all over the place and calling it what? Appreciation Day. They announced he is appreciating the people, and of course the spokesperson is standing out here. The people are appreciating him, but that's not what we saw today. When you are appreciated, the people come and thank you. You can, So he said the people call him to appreciate him. He stood up there and started to rattle out what he calls achievement. That's more like someone who's telling to me, like he's asking the people. These are the things I really hope to do, because I don't see any of those he has done so far.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you very much for the healthy debate and analysis of the Weah Appreciation Day. At this time, again, I want to thank our viewers also for being a part of it. I will take your parting comments for 1 minute each.
You don't mind, I will go first, Dennis. I have an early morning flight, so I gotta start packing.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I started my input here tonight by pointing out that this president is rattled, he's nervous, and I maintain that. This president jumping the gun and beginning to camping all over the place. Over the weekend, he was in Buchanan in the hot sun in the streets. Say he went for an endorsement. An endorsement turned into touring the city of Buchanan. We're seeing that. Today, he gathered his citizens in the compound to go and appreciate the president. We know he's campaigning already because they're reading the tea leaves and they know this coming election, it is going to be a hard-fought battle, and the cards are not pointing in their favor. They know that. So we understand why they're nervous. So we're hoping that he would have really specifically told the people what he has done. What he did today sounded more like an appeal to the people for what he wants to do, for which he must be elected. The man was elected over 5 years ago. That today he got to go and thank the people. We know what's afoot, but this is an argument we're ready to make. We want him to accept the debate. We'll bring this president to the table and let us debate where he has failed the Liberian people, so that the people will help our people and make it easier for them to understand why this president is a failure and why he shouldn't go back to the executive mansion. So I thank you tonight for the opportunity. I thank my panelists for broadening my perspective. I thank the audience as well for their input. Let's do it again.
Thank you, Mr. Collison.
Well, I wanted to thank you to all the panelists and also to you, the host, for having us tonight. And we'll say it again that if there's anywhere else that we call home, it's Liberia. And if Liberia is successful, we all become successful. We have a responsibility to checkmate our leaders. And checkmating our leaders is not a George Weah presidency phenomenon. It's a phenomenon in politics. Every government, the people must checkmate every government. Abapo checkmate President Togma. He was renowned for his speeches. In other people, the family, Como, you didn't name the rest of the guy. Talk about how Baker Matthew and the family junior Sawyer, the checkmate. They keep on to door. How the students, Alabi Topa, Chapa Blackie, you know, your Diga Pajibo, they check the door. Still have checkmate. About one of them who checkmate Taylor. And I spent 300 days in Taylor prison. Last time the political detainees are Taylor free from jail before he went to Nigeria. We've been checkmating government. But Ellen became president, edition, we're checkmating her. Now they're taking over, we're celebrating as a day to government. That they have done nothing wrong. That's why the people see. So there will always be checkmate around. If your brother become president, for the 7th, be checkmate as well. So nobody should give her any kind of CDC government in parachute. We pray God for the best. For the best order we have. We consider the checkmate government as we go forward. And I hope Mr. Weah will accept the opportunity to come and explain to the Liberian people what really he has done. And we should re-elect him in another 6 more years.
Thank you, Mr. Collison. Thank you.
Exchange again.
Blue Nation, Mr. Charlie, you're close.
Yeah, let me first thank you, Mr. Moderator, for inviting me and the panelists. It's a good exercise for us to examine these tough questions that trouble our society. But I'd like to begin on the point about the president coming for a debate as the only mean or vehicle that can communicate with Liberians. Are we suggesting that today the people the president spoke to are not Liberians? Are we suggesting the people the president spoke to in Grand Bazaar County, they are not Liberians? Are we suggesting that all of the people the president has been meeting across the country and talking to them about his development agenda, his progress, that are not Liberians until he come and meet some dinosaur politicians and some ambitious politicians on a stage or in a hall before he can communicate to Liberians? We say no. That's the president is speaking to the very people, the people themselves, ordinary Liberians who need to hear what he has done and what he will still do for the country. So I can celebrate that type of engagement. The president walking around in Buchanan should be celebrated. I wish all the politicians would do the same thing. We need to be telling our political presidential aspirant to walk in Grand Bazaar County like George Weah did. Walk in the various community, meet with the Liberian people themselves and talk to them, as opposed to standing in some late cubicle and talking at a talk festival. Today in Liberia, there are more Liberians that have electricity in their homes thanks to George Weah. And electricity is even cheaper in Liberia today than in the past, thanks to George Weah. Today, there are more new roads that never existed in Liberia since the country was first spotted by the Americans in 1816. Since that time, there are more roads today in Liberia under George Weah than any other president. New roads and very important roads. I said new roads I didn't say patching the old road, wasting quota over a road that Samuel Doe built, or wasting quota over a road that William Tower built, or wasting quota over a road that Tottenham built. I'm saying building roads where no roads existed. It has happened on George Weah. That's progress, that's development. Today, there are more hospitals built on one single tenure of a president than any other presidential tenure. That's progress, that's development. Can George Weah fix the whole Liberia in 6 years? No. Can anybody fix Liberia in 6 years? No. Can any president be in Liberia? Can we elect anybody and there will be no hungry person in Liberia? No. Can we elect anybody as president and there will be no street peddler in Liberia? No. Even in New York, there are street peddlers. Even in France, there are street peddlers. Street peddler will always be in the country. Can we elect anybody where there will be no drugs dealer in the society? Even in America, the FBI still chasing drugs dealer. They are not arrested them. Then what about Liberia? George Weah is making progress. The Liberian people are wise. They are going to maintain George Weah for another 6 years. And those who have squandered opportunities in Liberia will not get governance. Those who have own ambitious aspiration will not govern the country. Thank you again.
Thank you. Mr. Eastman.
Wow. Well, one thing for sure, this election is going to be different. This election, the president will not be able to run on his pure popularity and celebrity. Why? Because the people have experienced 5-6 years of his presidency. And though he's made some accomplishments, what is really going on in Liberia now, if you ask everybody, is that they are hungry. And it's rough. Their standard of living is shrinking. And that's going to be the test in October. Because when people go vote, they're going to measure their bellies. And if that belly hungry, they might alter and they might vote differently. So there is a possibility, that the CDC will pull it off again. But what we want to see, not just a victory, we want to see a change that our parents, our children, our daughters, our mothers can be proud of. Not the politicians, but we're talking about our market women. We're talking about those people in the interior. We want to see a change that is brought to them and their livelihood improved. So we're looking forward to this October 10th, but we will be looking more forward to the upliftment of our people. And that will require all of our effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys, and thank our viewers for watching. On that note, we say, we are all Liberians, and that's the song that's going to take us home tonight. Have a good night, and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.